Welcome to this explainer. If you've been feeling a sudden shift in your energy lately, or, noticing that a full night's sleep just doesn't quite fix that deep exhaustion anymore, well, you aren't imagining things. Today, we're diving specifically into the science of healthy aging for women over 35, and this is a deeply personal journey into our own biology. We're moving way past those surface-level symptoms to understand exactly what is dictating our health, our resilience, and our overall vitality from the inside out.
We so often judge aging by what we see in the mirror, or just the chronological years ticking by on the calendar. But here is a completely surprising biological fact for you. The number of candles on your birthday cake, it's actually totally divorced from your cellular reality. You could be 40 on paper, but your cells might be acting like they're 60. So today, we're looking much deeper at the hidden microscopic cellular clocks that dictate the real internal story of our biology.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the hidden biological countdown.
So, as we just mentioned, your biological age isn't set by chronological years at all. It's actually determined by these incredible protective caps on your DNA, which are called telomeres. Picture this. Imagine zooming right through the tissue of your cheek and straight into a cell nucleus. You'd see these beautiful silver chromosomes, and right at their tips are these bright, glowing green shields. Think of them kind of like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces, the aglets, that keep the laces from unraveling. As long as those green caps are thick and healthy, your cells can divide, replicate, and essentially keep you youthful and healthy.
There's this fascinating piece in Nature Review's Molecular Cell Biology that really drives this home. Understanding the dynamics of these cellular caps is the absolute foundation of longevity. This isn't science fiction, right? It is the fundamental biological science of how we actually age. The length and health of these telomeres are literally the truest biomarkers we have for cellular aging. It's the gold standard for knowing exactly what's happening inside your body.
Moving right along to Section 2, how stress frays DNA.
Now here is where the suspense really builds. These protective glowing caps, they aren't just sitting there safely locked away in a vault. They are constantly under attack. Imagine these floating, volatile red stress particles constantly bombarding your chromosomes. And look, for us women over 35, this isn't just about having a single bad day at work. It's the compounding, chronic stress of hormonal shifts, juggling the relentless demands of family and career, and just dealing with systemic burnout. Over time, these red particles physically bombard those beautiful green caps, causing them to shrink and literally dissolve. It's a very real, microscopic, physical reaction to your psychological state. And this brilliantly illustrates the real stakes we're dealing with here. Look at what happens when those protective shields erode. The raw silver DNA fibers underneath become totally exposed and begin to fray. It's very much like split ends on damaged hair. When this happens, your cells permanently stop dividing. And honestly, this is exactly when collagen production drops, or when recovery from a simple workout suddenly takes days instead of hours, and that persistent, unshakable fatigue sets in. This is what we actually experience as accelerated aging, when your body literally loses its capacity to repair tissue at the cellular level.
And we aren't just guessing here, guys. The proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences firmly links this accelerated DNA fraying directly to chronic psychological stress. When your brain perceives chronic stress, it floods your entire body with cortisol. This creates an intense oxidative firestorm inside your cells that physically burns away the very tips of your DNA. The stress you carry in your mind has a direct, erosive, and physical impact.
Which naturally brings us to Section 3, the quick fix myth.
Knowing this deep cellular damage is happening all the time, society relentlessly tries to sell us these superficial solutions. Notice the stark contrast here. We spend so much time, energy, and, let's face it, money on topical fixes, creams and serums meant to just act on the skin barrier. But no topical cream you put on your skin can possibly reach this deep genetic clock. It's just a superficial barrier fix versus a deep central cellular mechanism. True repair doesn't come from a jar. It requires targeting your nervous system directly to stop that fraying from the inside out. You simply cannot paint over a broken cellular clock. It doesn't work.
In fact, research published in Metabolic Brain Disease on systemic biomarkers confirms exactly this. Protecting your genetic caps requires deep, holistic science rather than a quick external fix. We really have to shift our whole perspective from trying to just conceal the damage to systematically slowing down our cellular aging speed right at its biological source.
So, this brings us to the absolute most important question of our explainer today.
If the fancy creams on our bathroom counters don't actually work for this, and chronic, compounding stress is actively dissolving our telomeres, how do we successfully defend our DNA? How do we put out that oxidative firestorm and finally take control of our personal journey toward true longevity?
Let's find out in Section 4, Activating the Telomerase Shield. Enter the absolute hero of our cellular journey, an enzyme called telomerase. If chronic stress is the villain dissolving our cellular caps, telomerase is the glowing violet builder swooping in to the rescue. This incredible enzyme physically binds to the frayed, exposed tips of your chromosomes and gets right to work. It literally weaves those genetic threads back into thick, radiant, green protective buffers. It rebuilds the shield from scratch. How cool is that?
Now, the most empowering takeaway from all of this data is that you have the power to activate this vital enzymatic shield yourself. You don't need a prescription for it. You activate telomerase by simply regulating your nervous system. How does this work? Well, consistent deep meditation and targeted breath work actively lower your cortisol, which puts out that oxidative firestorm we talked about earlier. In that state of deep calm, your body finally feels safe enough to deploy these violet builder enzymes to repair your DNA. A highly effective, proven way to start this is with 4-7-8 breath work, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8. It acts as an immediate biological trigger for telomerase activation.
And honestly, the journal Psychoneuroendocrinology backs this entirely. Their research proves that mitigating stress actively stimulates this protective enzyme. Think about that for a second. By simply sitting in stillness and intentionally engaging your breath, you are literally rewiring your cellular clock. You're changing your biological age from the inside by building thicker, stronger DNA shields. Let's wrap it all up with Section 5, Your Cellular Defense Protocol.
True longevity, especially for women navigating the sheer complexities of modern life, means stepping away from the mirror and shifting your focus away from external anti-aging routines. It means dedicating that same energy to deep nervous system regulation. Because when you prioritize calm, you absolutely prioritize your cellular health. To do this, let's focus on 3 daily cellular defense habits. First, prioritize just 5 minutes of dedicated 4-7-8 breathwork midday to interrupt that stress cycle. Second, limit blue light exposure an hour before bed to allow your nervous system to naturally wind down. And third, practice active stress mitigation, like taking brief 10-minute mindfulness walks without your phone to keep your cortisol from constantly spiking.
A fantastic way to integrate this holistic science into your life is through a step-by-step morning cellular recovery routine. Ready? Step 1, before you even check your phone, do 3 minutes of simple box breathing right there in bed to set a calm autonomic baseline. Step 2, get 10 minutes of natural sunlight in your eyes to regulate your circadian rhythm and your daily cortisol curve. And Step 3, hydrate with a large glass of water before consuming any caffeine to prevent triggering an artificial stress response. These habits are so transformative. And hey, if you want a complete printable guide to this protocol, just comment the word clock below. We designed it specifically to help you easily integrate these telomerase activating habits into your day.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Now that you know exactly what causes cellular aging, now that you can visualize those red stress particles fraying your DNA and those brilliant violet enzymes just waiting to repair them, are you going to keep chasing surface-level fixes? Or what is the one deep cellular habit you will start tomorrow morning to protect your deepest biology? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how you rewire your cellular clock.